Hey, thanks for checking out this podcast. Our hope is that it's an encouragement to you, that it builds your faith, that it helps you be a better leader and a better influencer in and through your life. If this is helpful to you, we'd love you to subscribe and also share it with somebody else to encourage them too. Thanks.
Welcome to the VC podcast.
Welcome.
We are here and so excited to be diving into leadership again today.
Yes, sir. This is good. We're talking leadership some more.
Yep. So today we're talking all about how leadership is bringing someone from here to there.
Yes.
It's as simple as that. That when we're thinking about leadership, when we're thinking about our influence, we always need to be thinking in the framework of we want people to get from here to there.
Right. Because if we're leading, we're going somewhere.
Yep.
So the question for a leader is always, where are we going?
Where are we going?
Right?
Yep.
And if you're leading in your family, how is our family going from here, wherever we are, to where we want to be? Or if you're, with a friend and you're working on your lives, where are we going? Or it's self-leadership, from where I am to where I want to be.
Yep. So whether you're at your workplace, whether it's your marriage, any area of your life, if you want to be a person who leads, if you want to increase your leadership, which I think we all should be, you've got to ask yourself, where are we going?
Where are we going? It's the vision question. Yeah. Right. So you hear leadership. The cliche word around leadership is vision. What's our vision? What's the vision? And the reason that's such an important question is because the vision is your picture of the future, or what I call a picture of a preferred future.
Right.
So that's where I want to be.
Right. And as we've covered before in a previous episode, vision is this tension between what is and what ought to be. Here, and there. What is, what ought to be. Right. Yeah. So a fun example for my home and vision is my wife and I, each year we try to chat around what's the vision for our home. And we've kind of been developing an idea, and our vision for our home is 2 words: Jesus, peace. That's it. So literally whenever we make any decision, will this task that we're doing, added thing in our schedule, will this bring peace, and will this bring an increased amount of Jesus in our day to day? And if the answer is no, we don't do it. We cut it out. And we're pretty ruthless about it.
Right.
If it doesn't bring us peace, if it doesn't bring us Jesus, we don't want it.
Right. So that gives you focus.
Yeah.
It gives you something to engage on, and it allows you then to remove distractions or less important things. It gives you a sense of priority.
Right.
Like, so all these other things around leadership that we talk about, focus, priority, clarity, all of these things, these are all worked out when you have this basic idea that we're moving from here to there.
Right. And so I love, but when it comes to our church, our whole thing is we want to lead people to know, love, and serve Jesus. Right. That is our vision. Boom. So it is this thing that we want to do as a church. Does it fit our vision? No. We cut it out. We don't do it.
Right.
But will this activity help lead people to know, love, and or serve Jesus? Yes. We're running with it.
Then we're in.
We're in. We're
doing it. And so that helps us get clarity. And we're simply looking at each individual person and saying, where are you now? Right? Where are you at right now in your spiritual life, in your relationship to God? And how can we help you get closer, right? To there. Right. Closer to Jesus.
That's an example. This whole podcast. Yes. Our hope is that this podcast can help get you from here to there. Exactly. Help you in your walk with Jesus. And we think that being a solid leader, that developing your leadership skills will allow you to be influential to the people around you. And through that influence, you can lead them to Jesus.
Yeah, so discipleship, this podcast is discipleship.
Totally.
We're following Jesus. So what does it mean to follow Jesus? Well, you're going on a journey. Jesus is going, he's helping us become like Christ. He's helping us be closer to himself. He's helping us lead other people closer to himself. Right. So this is the journey we're on. We're going from wherever we are right now to where Jesus wants us to be, and which is more like him. Right. More about his purposes in our lives. Yeah. So the idea of this podcast, or the idea of our church, or the idea of discipleship, or all these terms, is that we're helping people move on a journey towards Christ.
Right.
Now, that's in a Christian context.
Yeah.
That's in a church context.
Yeah.
If you were to move that to, say, a sports team,
sure. Yeah,
you would say, how is this sports team going to, what's our there? Well, we're going to make the playoffs this year.
Yeah.
Or we're going to win the city championship this year. Or maybe we won city championship last year. This year we're going to win provincials.
Right.
But from wherever we are, we're trying to get somewhere.
Right.
So let me add one nuance to this.
Yeah.
Let's talk about a little bit about problem solving.
Okay.
So here, if leadership is moving from here to there,
yep.
Here has to be, by definition, in some way or other, undesirable.
Really? Yeah.
Okay. So it has to be something that as good as here is, it's not good enough.
Right.
And one of the jobs of a leader is to make people discontent with here.
Right.
Or if you're leading yourself, one of your jobs to lead yourself is to get yourself discontent with where you are right now.
Right.
Because there's something better out there. And so leaders deal in problems. Like that's the ground we work in or live in, because we're working from here.
Yeah.
And that's a problem. There's something wrong with here. So for example, in discipleship, I'm not as like Jesus as I should be. Right? I'm too filled with anxiety. I'm too filled with selfishness. I'm too consumed with distractions, and I'm not enough about the purposes of God, loving enough, filled with His peace enough. So that frustrates me, or that's a problem, and that's what makes leaders have a job.
Right.
That's what gives leaders something to work on. If we didn't have problems, we wouldn't need leaders. Or if we didn't have problems to solve, we wouldn't need leadership.
Right.
So I think what's important there is that sometimes we just want to be content with where we're at.
Right.
But if you get too stuck in that mode, there's no need for leadership at all. There's no direction. There is no vision. And where there is no vision, Proverbs 29:18, the people perish. Right?
Wow.
If there's no vision, there's no reason to discipline yourself. There's no reason to grow, change, move.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and for us in our discipleship, we've been given the freedom to pursue Christ-likeness.
Right.
And so the process and the progress is beautiful every step of the way.
Yeah.
It's a discontent to stay where we are.
Right.
And being content with progress. So, I just want to make sure we're all on the same page, and which I know we are, right?
Yep.
So, we're supposed to be content but not content.
Yeah.
We're supposed to have peace and contentment with what God has given us.
Yep.
But it is in the bones of the Christian that we always be in progress.
Yep.
And it's only in progress that we be content. So am I supposed to just be upset all the time? No.
Right.
But you need to have a healthy and holy discontentment with the world around you and the state of your heart.
Yep.
Enough to move.
And so vision is born in frustration.
Yep.
In the tension between what is and what ought to be, right?
Yeah.
We've talked about this before, this leadership piece. So yeah, it's a weird place to be where you're content because of what God has done for you, and because you're on this journey, right? You're like, hey, I'm in the will of God. I'm walking with God.
So let me take you through a little exercise, okay?
Okay.
Once upon a time, I had a teacher, and the teacher was excellent. I'm talking excellent. Was amazing at giving the content. Always had the best things to say, and was like renowned by a bunch of people. Like they loved this teacher. But a big piece that seemed to be missing was a lot of people would fail their class. A lot of people would get to the end of the class and not had reached the standards.
Right.
And so you would ask, like, is that teacher a good teacher? And I'd say yes, but no.
Right.
They're amazing in their field. They know a lot, but here's what that teacher, at least on the ground, may be missing.
Yeah.
They're not concerned with getting people from here to there. Yeah. And then it's a year later, I had a teacher who was not as popular for being such an expert in their field, but they taught me more than anyone else ever taught me.
Right.
Because when I would do an assignment and it wasn't right, I wouldn't just get the mark and we moved to the next thing. I actually brought that assignment and said, how do I fix this? What's the deal with this? And they sat me down and moved me from here to there. They said, here's what you're doing wrong. Here's where your process is a bit off. Try this. Yeah. I tried that, and I learned more in that class, where the lectures were good, but they weren't like write a book about it good. Yeah. And it was fantastic because they were concerned with bringing me from A to B, and people want a teacher who can take you from A to B.
Yes.
And so when I think of these two teachers, I love them both to death. I loved both classes, but one of them grew me more than the other one because they brought me from A to be.
Yeah, so I think there's the process and then the results.
Right.
I'll say it that way. And sometimes we can become such experts at the process, right, we forget that we have to produce results, right? That the goal of the whole process is to get somewhere, to get a result.
Right.
And sometimes in let's talk pastoring, because that's my world.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes pastors can be expert pastors. They know all the tools and activities of a pastor. You know, I care for people really well. Oh, I preach really well. Yeah. Oh, I run staff meetings really well, handle the church administration really well, all the different parts of pastoring. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, is the church producing fruit? Wow. Are lives being transformed? Are we reaching more people for Christ?
Right.
You know,
are people moving?
Right. Is there actual progress, results? And so it's kind of funny. Now the flip side of that is some people are results only oriented.
Right.
And then what can tend to happen if you get too much focus on the results is that you can tend to slough on the process, or almost think the process doesn't matter. Like you can use, it's like
the ends justify the means.
There it is, right? Yeah. So you can start to use means that are either ungodly or just not the best means.
Yeah.
And so this is one of the things. Let me add this to leadership then. Yeah. Leadership is getting from here to there.
Yeah.
But it's also how we get there.
Yeah.
Or maybe I would say in a leadership context, how we behave along the way.
Wow. Yeah.
Right. So we're going on a journey together.
Yeah.
But it's not just the destination. It is the destination. We don't want to ever forget that. Some people are like, it's all about the journey. It's not about the destination. Well, the destination kind of matters.
Yeah, you need both. You actively need both.
Yeah, if you end up in a pit and that was your destination, it's not so good, even if you had a nice journey, right? But so you want the destination to be right. That's key and critical, and are we getting there? But you also want to say, and how'd the journey go? And how'd we behave along the way?
How did we get here?
Yeah, because that's, as you learn, it's not just about the destination. It's about the character, the transformation.
Yeah.
And about just the fun of the journey and so on.
Right. So here's a good challenge for the listener. Pick one thing in your life, one relationship you have in your life. Let's say it's a person that you meet for coffee with, or it's a person you're on a team with, whether it's your employer or whatever it is. Pick one area of your life where you're contributing and get to the bottom of what is the vision for this, and how do we move?
Okay.
That's how you get focused.
Yeah.
So, for example, here's an example of a good practice without vision that doesn't lead anywhere. You and I could meet for coffee every single week for 5 years and get nothing done.
Right.
Because we'll shoot the air.
Yeah.
We'll talk about random things. You'll tell me a lot of neat things.
We'll have a wonderful time.
It'll be great.
Yeah.
But if I go into each of those meetings thinking, what do I want to learn?
Right.
If I'm going into those meetings saying, what do I want to become, and how can this meeting help shape?
Right.
Where I'm going, who I'm
becoming.
Because our relationship for me is that you're mentoring me and you're giving me lots of resources. Now, obviously, I'm going to be courteous and give back, but understand what the relationship is and find that vision. So the vision for me is I want to grow.
Right.
And so that means you're going to challenge me. You're going to give me information. You're going to give me things to work with. So we have vision for when we meet. That actually makes our meetings shorter.
Right. More focused.
More focused. So if you have a meeting that goes on for an hour and a half and you leave thinking, what did we even talk about?
I have no idea. Yeah.
But if you have a meeting that's focused, you know what you want to talk about going into the meeting.
Yeah.
It'll be short, and you'll get exactly what you need out of it.
Right.
And so focus and vision will turn a good practice and turn it into A, better practice,
right,
and B, better results.
So yeah, you always want to be asking, where are we going?
Where are we going?
Why are we doing this?
Yeah.
And if you don't know, because oftentimes it's not clear.
Ask good questions then.
Right.
Yeah.
And really focus on what's the problem we're trying to solve here.
Yeah.
What's wrong with here?
Right.
Because, where are we going? Well, depends, right? Where are you now?
Yep.
So you want to get clarity around where you are, and not just where you are, but what's wrong with where you are.
Right.
What do I need to change about me? What do I need to change about this situation? What do I need to change about this city?
Right.
About this church? About this ministry?
Right.
And again, but from there, you don't just sit and wallow in the problem.
Yeah.
From there, you go, okay, where?
And a big tip, if you are thinking of finding the vision for, let's say, a team that you're on where you're not in charge. Let's say you are on a ministry team somewhere, or you're on staff at a job, or if you're on staff at a church, whatever your context is, and you're not in charge. Your goal of finding the vision is not to make one up. Your goal of finding the vision is to discover and love what the leader's vision is.
Yeah.
And what's beautiful about that is it helps your leader. It reminds them, and if they don't have a clear vision, you ask the right questions, they'll start forming a clear vision.
Exactly. You help them
and
build
you can run together.
Yeah.
And that's what's beautiful about leadership. It goes all the way. It goes all ways. So you're helping your leader. When you get clear on the vision, that's the best thing you can do for your leader.
Right.
So fun story is when I first started here, I had my own vision. For the church, for the world, for the gospel. Yeah. And pretty early on, I knew that the only way that I could be successful on this team or that I could be helpful is that I need to know what the vision is for this church. Yeah. Not just the mission statement, but really get it, have it sink into my heart so that I can live out the mission. That's the best team member I can be.
Right.
And that's why I've lasted on this team, and I hope to think that I've helped because I would ask you, I would ask Pastor Barry, Pastor Larry, what's the vision? What do we need to be doing here? Like I wanted to learn and then run with what you gave me, rather than coming in with my own agenda. Right. Because when you're on a team, you want to know the leader's vision and run with the leader's vision.
Totally.
Don't make your own.
Totally. And over time, you have to keep coming back.
Yeah.
Right? So over time, you got to re-clarify, partly because things change, partly because you change, partly because as you're out and about in life, other visions come your way, and you start to get excited about those, and then you're like, oh, hang on a second, is that really the direction we're going together? Right. So you're always clarifying and re-clarifying and re-clarifying. And coming back to the why, right? Why are we doing this? Right. Where are we going again? And so much of it is just getting into the heart and mind of your leaders. Right. And maybe you're the one. Maybe you feel the pressure. Like you're like, oof, I'm the leader. I have to come up with the vision, and people need clarity from me, and so on. A couple of things. One is be okay with wrestling with it. You don't have to have it.
Wrestle with it.
Always, on the tip of your tongue.
Don't make one up.
Yeah. Be okay with that and allow it to evolve and form.
Yeah.
The other thing is again, I've been sharing with you, think about your here and your there and what's wrong with here and so on. One of my favorite biblical examples of this is Nehemiah. So if you ever get a chance, read Nehemiah, especially the first few chapters. Here's this guy, he's a cupbearer for the king. He's living his life, things are fine. His brother comes to visit him and he's like, hey, bro, how are things in Jerusalem? And his brother says, well, actually, they're terrible. God's people are being made a disgrace of. God's name is being disgraced, and it's not going well. And the people are, scattered and so on. Well, this just breaks Nehemiah's heart. This burden overwhelms him. He's like, that's not how it should be. Right. And then from that burden, a vision forms. And then the rest of Nehemiah happens. He moves to Jerusalem. He forms a team of people. They work together against the opposition to rebuild the walls of Jerusalem and so on. But where did he get the vision? Yeah. Well, he asked his brother how things were going. Right. And when he realized that things weren't as they ought to be, that burdened his heart. And then, the rest formed.
Yeah. Funny enough, that passage was the heart passage for why we have a young adults group.
Yep.
So for us, when I was looking at young adults in North America in general, it talks about how like 2/3 of young people leave the church.
Right.
And what happens with the left? Like when people are left, what kind of community do they have?
Yeah.
And most churches struggle heavily with young adults and having that be a flourishing thing. Yeah. And so I looked at this passage and I was thinking about our young adults group, and I'm like, man, the young adults in our church need a place.
Yeah.
We need a wall, so to speak.
Yeah,
and I wept for it. And our team came together and read through Nehemiah together, and we prayed and we fasted. And
Super
it was
cool.
the first time I'd ever done anything like that.
Yeah.
And what blossomed was this beautiful picture of a community that's going after a purpose, and they want to see our young adults be cared for and connected. And
very cool.
Man, there starts with the problem.
Exactly.
Starts with the problem.
Yeah.
And leadership is getting you from that problem to a solution.
Yeah, and because we have God, and because we have each other, and what we would call agency, you can do something about it, this sense of responsibility, I guess, then problems aren't just like for you to sit around and mope about for the rest of your life.
Right.
You feel the frustration, you cry about it, and then you get up and go, okay, God, if you're with me, what can we do?
Absolutely.
And that's leadership.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, in your life, find one area or one relationship, one team that you're on, and ask yourself, what is the vision for this area?
Yeah.
Get to the bottom of it, and then start asking yourself, how can I get us from here to there? What part of my practice needs to shape? What part of my practice needs to pivot and get focused so that we can get from here to there?
Awesome. I love it. Thanks for chatting about leadership.
Yeah.